Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. You've landed in the right place to learn how to own your story, release subconscious beliefs, rewire your mind, and step into the impact you know you're here to create. Through Outspoken Publishing and NLP certifications, we share the tools and subconscious shifts that expand your voice, your message, your confidence, and your leadership. I am your host, Marsha Vanwynsberghe, NLP trainer, speaker, author, and publisher. I am thrilled you are here. Let's get started. Welcome back to the show. All right, so let's stay practical and help to share something that I think will shift. I love metaphors. Metaphors are actually how our brain learns something. Hence, I had a lot of you comment on the fact that I talked about your nervous system being the pirate ship versus it's a small world. And if we're in this like swing energy all the time, we're wasting a lot of energy. And the first thing that popped in my mind was the pirate ship, which I hate that ride. So I digress. I heard this on a reel. It might have been Cody Sanchez. I'm not sure. But it was this concept, and I knew it was something that I wanted to share, is where can you be the thermostat and not the thermometer? So the thermometer is always reacting to the environment, right? It will go up and it will change. A thermostat determines the environment. When you set the thermostat, that's the temperature that you're having it to go to. And most people live in this emotionally reactive state at all times, actually, very emotionally reactive in their lives. So reacting to clients, like social media posts, a comment that's said, reacting to money when it comes or doesn't come, stress, uncertainty, and this constant up and down energy of reaction. That is a thermometer. But leadership, if you're going to be a leader, and I think we're all leaders in our own lives, leadership requires like energetic regulation. How can you regulate yourself? If your emotions rise and fall at every email, every response, everything that's said, can you see how they're not just energy leaks, like there are like energy gaps everywhere. And that's costing you something, even if it's just costing you your energy, which is your resource, which is now what you get to continue to put out there and create. So when we have those energy leaks, we're losing. We're literally losing. And that might mean, again, that the best opportunity can be right there and available for you, and you don't have the energy to even do it. I've been there. And it's like, I would love to have the opportunity. I don't even know how I can do that because I can barely do with what I'm doing now. And that's usually an invitation for me to look at where are those leaks and what's happening. So with thermometer energy that is like up and down and up and down, that is emotional reactivity. I want you to think of it that way. It's an emotional reactivity. Like one comment ruins your day, a sale that doesn't go through, a client who owes you money. I'm not saying you can't be frustrated. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, is it costing you your energy? If you are looking at your engagement on your social media and you are only satisfied by likes and follows, and then you're missing part of the point. A lot of times, yeah, it's very easy to go, oh my gosh, that reel took off. But if you're like anyone, you know that sometimes the one you spend the most amount of time in does incredibly poor, and then one goes incredibly crazy. And I have often found that even the ones that might have like 200 views or something like that, there's almost always somebody that reaches out, a connection is made, the content speaks to somebody. So I don't care what the overall number is. If it's landing with the right people, that's where my concern is. So you get to decide what that is, right? If you put a one piece of content out and it doesn't go very far and you're like, what's the point of doing all this? That is definitely emotional reactivity. That is controlling how you're responding. So you're not leading your life at this point. You're not leading your engagement, putting it out there. You're reacting to everything that's happening. And when we do that, we're so influenced by everything around us that we're fighting ourselves in this constant pattern. And it literally is just giving the energy away. I like to equate it that, if you rolled the window down, you just threw money out of it. That's like you're just giving the energy away. It's gaps everywhere. Whereas instead, a thermostat energy sets the temperature for the room. It sets the tone. It regulates the environment. It responds instead of reacts. That means you're like grounded under pressure and you're holding on to your personal power versus throwing it all out the window. That does not mean numb. It doesn't mean no emotion. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means that you don't get hijacked by these emotions. They don't hold you. You have more of a neutral response. And the interesting thing is, and let's see if I can do this analogy. I know when Ed Milet explains it, your financial success in your business is like a thermostat. So if you set the thermostat to 70 degrees, for example, you go up to that or you come back down to it, but it sets the baseline. And as you build your own baseline in your business, you also have to build the belief in knowing that you can maintain 70. Like this is where you're at. Now, when you want something more, you're going to have to learn how to change the thermostat. And the thermostat is the regulator. So it sets that tone, right? It sets the environment. And that might mean that if you're walking into an environment that is challenging and it has moments of like, I don't like this feeling, or this is a period of growth for me, that it's like stretching yourself to do it, then you're going to have to realize that it might require more than the 70 on your thermostat. Maybe you're trying to go higher, you want it hotter. Maybe you want it to go cooler, you bring it back down. But whatever it is, you're deciding that dial. And when you do that, you're building capacity and your nervous system regulation, you're building that regulation within. You're building your own leadership. You're building the identity of somebody who can hold this. And honestly, it's important to know like the strongest leaders that you might look up to, it's not that they don't ever feel stress, but they can actually return to regulation faster. I have times where it like knocks me out at my knees. I'm like, okay, let's just breathe for a second. What does this mean? What am I making this mean? How can I shift my thinking around this? And how can I get back to a baseline faster? How can I regulate faster? When you are the thermometer, and listen, I'm not saying this is never about perfection, but if you spend all of your time being the thermometer and you want to build a business, it's going to eat your life. I'm going to tell you that right. It'll eat your life because you will be constantly drained of energy. And then you'll have to realize sooner or later that you're the one draining the energy. So what does it cost you as that thermometer? It's like very inconsistent pirate ship energy, frequent burnout, emotional exhaustion, like fatigue where I can't even make a decision. And sometimes that is me. I'm like, I'll be asked a question. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know because I can't think. That's a big red flag for me. When that happens, it's like, okay, let's come back to basics now because that's not how I operate. And then it creates inconsistency in business. And you know what else happens when all of this happens as a thermometer? You are building a lack of trust within yourself. And I think that is critically important to build is self-trust. You have to know that you have yourself. You are safe at all times. You have yourself even when it feels like nothing is working around you. You know that you are safe. It takes you out of like this emotional, I have to like survival mode. It's like so scary. I can't do it. But when you become the thermostat, you learn how to pause before you react. You see your emotions, and it's almost like you are not your thoughts. You see those thoughts. You regulate before responding. You breathe before speaking. You ask, what energy do I want to lead from? You stop consuming chaos first thing in the morning. Like you don't jump into your phone and jump into everyone else's world. You regulate yourself first. You anchor in your own values before you take yourself out into the world. And in the world of NLP, neuro linguistic programming, if your state constantly changes based on your external circumstances, then your behaviors change, your decisions change, your identity is unstable. And then the thermostat, like a thermostat creates intentional states. If you're the thermometer in terms of NLP, what happens is your identity becomes unstable, constantly reacting to the world around you instead of coming back to responding. So let me tie this back into NLP. If your state is constantly changing based on the circumstances around you, you will have a hard time leading yourself because you will feel like you are the pinball machine and you will feel like you're moving and being bounced back and forth. You want to come back to yourself. You want to be the person who you solidify your emotional state. You are holding yourself. You know how to lead yourself, even if everything around you is changing. You are the thermostat. You can change the room. You can change any room that you walk into. A thermometer is waiting for the room to change. It's waiting for all the circumstances around here to change. The thermostat changes the room. One of the greatest forms of leadership that you are going to learn is how to hold your energy when life is trying to pull you in all these directions. And it'll do that. Trust me, it's going to do that over and over and over. It's what life does. Life will continue to come at you. When you are looking at these strong leaders and you think this is not a challenge for them and they're not feeling this stress and you think that they've got it all figured out, they've just learned how to return back to regulate themselves, to come back into neutral faster because they've most likely spent a tremendous amount of energy wasting it somewhere else and not coming back to themselves. And they've caught it. And so now they know it and see it. And we're not perfect by any means. I just know when I start doing this, I'm like, oh, red flag. Let's what can we change to come back to regulation first? Because when we do that, I can think more clearly. I can make decisions. I feel more grounded. My identity is much more stable. And I know what I'm saying yes and no to. And that changes how I show up in the world around me. So I would love to know how this message lands. Do you see yourself as the thermometer or as the thermostat, or are you becoming more of the thermostat? I would love to hear. Thank you for being here. Have an incredible day. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. I invite you to tag me on social media with your takeaways or share it with a friend. If you feel called, please leave a 5-star review and I would be forever grateful. Until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you own your life.